Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be making a pear. Yeah, not going to go too crazy about what I'm doing. Just spotting in some basic shapes, subdivide it a bit, scale it up by maybe like 4. I've been going heavy on a project, Louise 5. So when that drops, which should be pretty soon, I'm in crunch time for it right now. I'll have a couple breakdowns on how I made some of those scenes. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe for when that drops. Other than that, I just took the icosphere and literally sculpted it. Personally, this is my favorite brush, the scrape brush. It just feels the most like realistic. So there we go. Just gonna move this as it would sit on a plane. Take the draw sharp. Over here you can do add, or you can do subtract. I'm gonna make sure I'm on subtract and put a little indent. I feel like now is gonna be a good time to get the camera in here. Now my keyboard is set to Japanese for some reason, so you gotta switch it over to Canadian, American, or however you want to say it, and then you can press the little squirrely bracket to fly around. If you've never done this before, you can fly around. It's really nice. You can also press tab and it activates like this gravity, so it's a first person thing where you can like walk around and jump. But yeah, when you're in camera, it makes it really easy to just move your camera around, find the right angle. Make sure you save your projects, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This will be Pear. I'm gonna shade smooth. Wow, look at how easy that was to make the pear. Now we're gonna grab a cylinder. 32 should work fine. We could even drop that down if we wanted to be more efficient on polygons. Drop that down to like 16, scale it up a bit. So I'm gonna apply transformations real quick. And then do a loop cut. Add a couple of these. This is just going to help us yeah, that should be enough loop cuts. It's going to help us change the geometry to be a little bit more unique. And I will show you what that means in a second. So now if we go to X-ray and we press O for proportional editing, we can change multiple vertices at the same time. So there we go, we can line that up. And I'm gonna scale this part down a bit too, and over here as well. This one's a little bit intense. Right about at this point, especially if I'm working on a regular composition, I like to always have my camera view open, just so I see how it fits. Like this is too long now. What I do need to do is go ahead and turn X-ray on, create a little stem. Great tool if you're working in modeling is Alt, and you can edge select. Super useful. Go back to edit mode, just move this around just so it's different. And then scale this whole thing down, scale it up on Y, and just line that up. Boom. Come on, intersect. Yeah. Okay, how do we make a leaf? Well, a leaf is great and super simple. And that's how we're gonna get into texturing. We're gonna go ahead and texture. But before we texture, we're gonna duplicate this pear, move it over to the side, and just gonna go ahead and change it up a little bit with the move brush. It's a little bit wonky, but that's okay for what we're gonna be using it for. We're gonna be booleaning this. We're gonna just spawn in a cube, and this is gonna be our knife, basically, that cuts through the pear. I want it to be like that, and I want this to cut just like this. So anywhere we see this, I'm gonna do a display as bounds or wire, just so it's not in our way and we can see what's going on here. We can boolean. Wow. Now our pear's cut in two, and this is procedural, of course, so you can change where the cut is and leaning up against this other pear. Now if we move the camera over, from here, we have our composition basically set. All we need to do is textures, lighting, and we're good to render. Pear. No, I don't know how I spelled that wrong. Pear. Now the easiest thing to do in this situation is to come on the old trusty internet and go Pear. Oh wow, there's already like images. This is literally my profile picture, in case you didn't know. That one's kind of nice, but it's drawn. This one should work. And this one also has the leaf. So this will be our Pear image today. Now, the secret about 3D is only do what you need to do. Because if you're doing too much, you're going to be wasting your time. Add an image texture. And open up our Pear image. And then we're going to plug this into base color. Instantly, it doesn't look good. And that's because we haven't fixed our UVs yet. Project from view. Which is a classic. Oh yeah, project from view is going to work great. Look at that. We don't have to worry about the stretching because it's on the side of it. And there's a little bit of light coming from over here. So we'll make sure to account for that in the lighting. Now we're just going to use the same material for everything and just align the UVs. It's just way faster this way. Right? I'm going to do another cube projection. And then scale all of this down. Have it line up. And I'm using just regular Blender hotkeys to move stuff around here in the UV editor. So it's G, R, rotate, all those fancy, not even fancy, bro. It's actually just the most basic stuff. So you got it. You just gotta believe in yourself. Last thing we gotta make is a leaf. So this one we're gonna use a slightly different material. Just cause it's easier. I'm just gonna knife tool the plane, cut that stem part out. And now when we go back to shader editor, we can actually use the input from this into a color ramp to create an alpha. Basically what we're doing is we're thresholding so that the only thing that is visible is the leaf. And now, just gonna trim this a bit more, stretch it so it looks more like a proper leaf. And now when we go viewport display, blend mode, change these to alpha, everything disappears because I forgot to set this as a different material. But now that this is a different material and we've inverted this, there we go, we have our leaf. I'm going to take another knife cut. I'm going to cut right along the center. And then I'm going to select that and indent it a little bit. Just so there's actually some 3D geometry going over there. We're going to go ahead and apply this boolean actually. Inset this by pressing I, and that's all the modeling that takes to do that. And now we have the inside of the pear. 16 million tons of pears come from China. 16 million tons. Oh yeah, nice high-res image. I'm teaching you concepts. I'm teaching you ways to do things. I'm not telling you, oh, you need to make a pear. I'm saying this is the way I make a pear. And then if you want to make a building, you could do the same thing with a building. Like, it's just the same concept, you know? So I'm going to use the proportional editing basically to align this up almost perfectly. Boom. We know the inside of the pear is juicy, so the roughness needs to come down. We know the outside of the pear, we're just going to drive that with the pear texture. I'm adding a ground plane in here. I think I'm going to do a nice dark that is reflective. And we're going to switch over to our render engine, which is going to be Cycles, because straight up, man, Cycles is the best. Why would I use anything that's not the best, you know? Okay, the only thing that's a little bit lacking is the inside of the pear, and we'll address that. Classic gradient texture. And then we can turn this up, and the light's gonna be coming from there. Look how easy, I love a gradient texture, to be honest. It's just such a easy finesse. The little seeds, So I can go ahead and subdivide this and then scale that up. It's my little seedling. Shade smooth, make this dark, make this reflective. What? Okay, whatever. Just duplicate it. Oh yeah. Still not the biggest fan of down here, but we will address that momentarily. All right, so this is just a quick detour. All I'm doing in here is just pressing J for spot healing brush. And I'm just gonna come in here and basically remove the ugly bit that I didn't like. That's literally the only edit. Just cleaning this Pear image up like the slightest degree. Now we can go back to Blender. Now we can finish up the lighting, add a little background, and call that a render. Increase that. Yeah, oh yeah. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for the way to create a focus. Your focal point is going to be the highest contrast area in your image. So currently right here is the highest contrast. It goes from white to black. So I want to create like a gradient that brings your eye from the highest contrast over to the full Pear. So by adding a highlight here, your eye is drawn. Now, in terms of lighting, that's actually really good for me. So we just got to add a background. We could do any type of background. I'm thinking we just duplicate the floor plane when you're rendering. There's this sharp line and this dot here. We can't have those. So if we move the whole thing back and just scale it up. So let's go ahead and click the button. Final adjustment. I'm gonna add a subdivision on this little twig here, and on this one too. What the heck? And that'll just up the realism a tiny bit. Bada boom, bada bing. You have a Pear in Blender. Now you could do any number of things with this. You could put it in an ArcViz scene, and you could have the Pear on the table and have a nice depth of field to outside, and you see the pool that you designed, you know? You can really play it up. But for this is my Pear. I'm very happy with it. Maybe I'll sign it. Who knows? So go ahead and save your render if you were following along. I'm going to save mine as Pear for YouTube video. Bonus tip. Always color correct. Double bonus tip. Here you go. It's the S curve. You just bring this down, bring this up, gives a little bit of contrast, just makes it pop. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Follow along, everything like that. Ciao.